Radio 91.7.
Living a life that depicts the teachings of Islam is the dream of every Muslim. Everyday Muslim, Saturdays 11 a.m. on Women Radio 91.7 is in collaboration with Muslim Public Affairs Center, MPAC. Everyday Muslim will address the misconceptions on Islam, foster a peaceful coexistence, and guide the everyday Muslim on the journey in Islam. Everyday Muslim, Saturdays 11 a.m. on Women Radio 91.7. Simplified understanding of the deen.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Our listeners at home, my name is Abdul Hakim Qasim, and I welcome you to another edition of Everyday Muslim Show on Women Radio 91.7 FM. Today is Saturday, December 20, 2025, corresponding to the 29th day of Jumada Thani, 1447 AH. It's the last Saturday of the 6th month of the Hijrah 1447 AH. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the gift of life and the gift of good health. We're just about 60 days to Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spare our lives till then and beyond. On this program, Everyday Muslim, we try to address misconceptions about Islam, foster peaceful coexistence within the society, and guide everyday Muslim on their journey in Islam. This program is made possible, is brought to you by the Muslim Public Affairs Center, MPAC, in partnership with the management of Women Radio 91.7 FM. Today, we want to bring to the front burner the issue of Palestine, and we'll be discussing voices from the flotilla, solidarity, activism, and the fight for justice in Palestine. Again, voices from the flotilla, solidarity, activism, and the fight for justice in Palestine. And our guest is Dr. Fatima Hendricks. She is a South African, and she is here. Dr. Hendricks joined the 2025 Global Summit Flotilla to Gaza, where she was captured by Israeli forces and resisted until her release 6 days later. An advocate of human dignity and decolonial scholarship, she bridges health, education, and Islamic spirituality through her work. With a doctorate in occupational therapy, 3 master's degrees, several diplomas, and over 25 years of global experience, she integrates resilience shaped by surviving Guillain-Barré syndrome and breast cancer into her leadership, teaching, and humanitarian activism. Her last teaching role was as an assistant professor of occupational therapy at Chicago State University in the United States of America. She is the author of Living, Love, and Please Forgive Me. You can be a part of this discourse by calling the number 07000-917-917, 07000-917-917. You can also send a message via SMS or WhatsApp to the number 08155-917-917. Again, this program is Everyday Muslim, is brought to you by Muslim Public Affairs Center, MPAC, in partnership with Women Radio. All right, so let me say this. Let me ask now. I know that for those who stand for Palestine, they often face a lot of intimidation, censorship, and reputational risk. In fact, we have this idea of doxing, where people's employment are actually threatened just because of this activism. So from your own activism, what resources and ethical obligations do you think has sustained you thus far, and what lessons can young African activists draw from your resolve?
That's a really powerful question, because when we speak truth to power, it always comes at high costs.
Absolutely.
And this has been the case since time immemorial. Those that have stood against injustice, against the lies, and against oppression have stood most of the time alone, at great risk to their lives and their livelihoods. And we see this in the great icons who we of struggle in people like Malcolm X, in Martin Luther King, etc. In Nelson Mandela, who was imprisoned for 27 years, and now with Marwan Barghouti, the Palestinian Mandela,
yes.
who's been in prison now for 22 years.
Subhanallah.
The kinds of sacrifices that we're making are relatively small in comparison to the sacrifices that people of Palestine are making just to survive. So everything is always taken from the leadership of the Palestinian people. They are the ones that lead us into a self-determination of what they want. And as people that are standing in loving solidarity with the Palestinian people, we recognize that we are called upon to do what is morally right. It is not a nice to have and a nice to do. So yes, people have lost jobs on the flotilla, lost relationships, lost places to live, being disowned from their families. The cost has been very, very heavy. But the cost of complicity and the cost of being silent in such grave injustice is actually higher. It's higher to society as a whole, because it sickens society even more. And so this has given people around the world to just make voice. And the more people that speak up, the better it becomes in a collective consciousness that grows.
All right. Now, looking at the fact that this activism is something that one must be deliberate about, one must be intentional about. So, now, what practical steps would you recommend that African institutions, faith-based organizations, and concerned citizens take to strengthen their contribution to this Palestinian cause? Because we love what you're doing, and we know quite well that we can actually still do more if people get to know more about this cause. So what advice do you think you can give to Africans and our institutions, including even our government, on what we can do better about this Palestinian cause? Because I know quite well it's not just about Palestinians. It is Palestinians that we're dealing with today. We don't know who its turn it will be tomorrow. Now Venezuelans are actually being threatened now. So we don't know the next nation. So what advice do you think for us as Africans we can actually, take from this, and we really need to do?
That's really excellent. The people united will never ever be defeated.
Absolutely.
And this is a motto that we've seen all across the globe in all of the struggle movements. And so the more people that we have that are educated and are knowledgeable about Palestine, the basic facts of what happened in 1917 with the Balfour Declaration, what happened in 1948, the Nakbas that have happened. So people really need to educate themselves around the history of Palestine, and then to be able to think about, in my profession as, for example, a healthcare professional, as a business owner, as whatever, as a student, what is it that I can do for the Palestinian cause, for the Palestinian struggle? The first thing is knowledge. The second thing in call to action is looking at the money that we have in our pockets, because there's an app that is called No Thanks, and in this app it will list and does list all of the boycott products. Okay, so the UN Special Rapporteur, Francesca and Albanese, she has, in her latest report, which she delivered from South Africa, lists the complicity of large corporations and businesses to the Zionist project, right, of settler colonialism. And so we need to take that seriously. How much of money and what type of brands are we buying that are complicit with either manufactured on stolen Palestinian land or being produced there and exported out? For example, it's Ramadan now. We need to look at the dates. Where are the dates coming from? If there's a bunch of dates that are coming from the Jordan Valley and all these different things, we need to look at what are those dates and not buy them, because they are being relabeled. They are being sent to other third countries, repackaged, and then sent to us. And so we could be eating dates and olives from stolen Palestinian land. The third is educational, cultural boycotts. Okay, and boycotts of health institutions, and making sure that there is that Israel is isolated. It needs to be seen as the pariah state that it is, and we need to raise our voices for that.
All right, thank you very much. And Now, I know quite well that for some of this, because in fact, I can't imagine if a UN rapporteur for human rights, Francesca Albanese, can face the not just discrimination, in fact, a whole lot of restrictions, that she can't even have access to her own account. She can't lodge in hotel with her name. She can't, travel with so many things, and including judges of the International Criminal Court.
Exactly.
That it shows how deep rooted this, how do I put it, this oppression is, just because you are saying the truth, and how the powers that be will come at you just because you are saying that this oppression must stop. So I can understand that. Now, so in moments where powerful nations turn away, as they have continued to do, and global institutions fail the oppressed, what keeps you deeply, committed to activism, and how can organizations like this Muslim Public Affairs Center that we have here in Nigeria reinforce such moral stamina across the world? Because I am seriously enamored by your spirit, still doing this. So I feel like for MPAC, we're looking at, so how can we also come in this regard, so that we make this something that everybody is aware of, and we continue to keep, the light, out there.
Mashallah, it's so powerful, because this is rooted in our faith. The justice and the pursuit of peace, and the pursuit of the protection and preservation of life, of human dignity, of lineage, of wealth and property is grounded in our faith.
Yes.
So we are not doing something when out of the ordinary when we are standing up for Palestine. When we are standing up for Palestine, we are also standing up for Al-Quds. We're standing up for our first haram. We're standing up for a place in Jerusalem, in Quds, that was home and that is home to all three of the major religions.
Yes. The Abrahamic faiths.
All of the Abrahamic faiths. And under the rule of the Muslims, there was peace where all three faiths were able to access the religious sites. And we need to push to a return and re-envisioning of that. Now, in terms of the kinds of awareness we need to raise, we need to tackle the Israeli Hasbara. There is a lot
the propaganda
of
machine.
A big propaganda machine. And we find that there is a big movement towards Christian Zionism, where Christian Zionists believe that they have to support Israel because their so-called Bible says that. But we have engaged with, in South Africa, with South African Christians who are, and Jewish leaders who are part of the Palestinian struggle, who fight this kind of narrative. And if you watch and listen to any of the Palestinian Christian leadership from within Gaza and the West Bank, they speak about their deep hurt that their faith is being used to kill them, to support a state that is killing them.
Absolutely. They spit on Christians there in Jerusalem.
Exactly.
In fact.
And so we need to increase the public awareness, increase the boycott, divestment and sanctions support about what to boycott. We need to look at big relationships the state of Nigeria has with the state of the illegal Zionist regime, and if the embassy is here, we need to call for the closing of the Israeli embassy. We need to really have a strategy of how we can mobilize towards accountability. In South Africa, we have, for example, IOF soldiers that are living in South Africa, South Africans that have fought. And this is against the military assistance. I'm not sure what the case is here in Nigeria of Nigerians fighting in the IOF. But these are some of the touch points that we're looking at. South Africa, unfortunately, is now the highest coal supplier to Israel.
Wow.
The Zionist regime. A country that has taken the ICJ to the, taken Israel to the ICC.
And still
we see this as still the politicians with their back weight and money, money interests exporting coal. So we have to hit this this effort in two. One is around truth, and the other is about how money is moves and is used to support the Zionist regime.
All right. So we have just 30 seconds to go.
Okay.
So what message do you have for people out there listening to you now concerning the issue of Palestine, at least as a takeaway from your visits to Nigeria and for your appearance on this program? So your parting shot. Right down.
My engagement with Nigerians has been uplifting. Nigerians know oppression, they know truth and justice when they see it. And so this relationship between South Africa and Nigeria and Palestine, as us being part of a broader Pan-African movement, really speaks to our commitment for equality, for justice, and for peace. And so we need to know and remember that each of our individual voices matter. We're never, ever too small to speak up. And together, as more people speak up and more people mobilize, we make a collective movement and build a collective movement that will really turn the tide. And we see this around the world, where the tide is turning towards supporting Palestine and really doing everything we can to force our governments to hold Israel accountable for its gross behavior in violation of human rights.
All right, Jazakumullah khairan. I'd like to appreciate Dr. Fatima Hendricks.